This is a finishing of the three teachings of Chinese philosophy reading. We are almost through Confucianism, and that is it. I'm starting where it says Confucianism, the major system of thought in China. So if you're following along, make sure that you go there before you get going. Confucianism, the major system of thought in China, developed from the teachings of Confucius and his disciples, and is concerned with the principles of good conduct, practical wisdom, and proper social relationships. Confucianism has influenced the Chinese attitude towards life, set the patterns of living and standards of social value, and provided the background for Chinese political theories and institutions. It has spread from China to Korea, Japan, Vietnam, and aroused interest among Western scholars. Although Confucianism has become the official ideology of the Chinese state, it has never existed as an established religion with a church and a priesthood. Chinese scholars honored Confucius as a great teacher and sage, but did not worship him as a personal god. Nor did Confucius himself ever claim divinity. Unlike Christian churches, the temples built to Confucius were not in places which organized community groups gathered to worship, but public edifices designed for annual ceremonies, especially on the philosopher's birthday. The principles of Confucianism are contained in the 9 ancient Chinese works handed down by Confucius and his followers, who lived in an age of great philosophic activity. These writings can be divided into 2 groups, the 5 classics and the 4 books. Confucius believed that people were happier when they were following the rules of good behavior. There must be rules to follow so people will trust each other. Ruler and citizen, father and son, husband and wife, brother and brother, friend and friend. This eventually brought forth the golden rule. What you do not like done to you, do not do to others. Confucius said the best kind of government for this great man was one in which rulers were wise and honest. A government should set a good example for its people. A good government makes its people happy. And so the government began to store grain. In bad harvest years, the people would have enough to eat and the prices would not be too high. Many of the smartest and best officials were given the task of checking on the behavior of all government officials. These officials had to be honest and hardworking. They also listened carefully to the complaints of the people, and they reported to the rulers what the people wanted. The checking officials were given the right to correct any other official, no matter how high the rank. They didn't have to worry about revenge. In order for this government to work well, the rulers had to be highly educated men. Confucius said, "The ruler who is well educated learns to love the people he rules, and the average people, when educated well, learn to love their government." To Confucius, good education helped keep people together. When people are educated, the differences between them disappear. In later years, even though most people could not go to school, people everywhere understood the importance of education. Men of learning were greatly respected. Very often, people in a small village would notice a child who was especially smart, and even though they were poor, would help raise enough money to send them to school. They were very proud of him, and he brought great honor to them. After a while, all government officials were chosen by their education. So guys, that concludes the reading. Make sure you go ahead and complete the "What Would That Philosopher Do" activity.